Hello, Energy Expansion Pod Squad. Oh my goodness, I am in my feels right now, just like the full human experience. And I feel like I have been for, oh my goodness, definitely the last couple of days, just an overflow of so much goodness and so much beauty and also so much heartache. Hi, I dropped my almost 13-year-old off at sleepaway camp. She's going to be gone for a week. She did this in sixth grade, and it dawned on me that the day she needed to get dropped off, it was in the middle of the week and I had something going on. So my husband dropped her off. And so I had not had this experience before until early on Sunday morning when it felt like someone literally severed one of my physical limbs from my body and then put it in a bus and drove away with it. And I'm still feeling that right now. Like the heaviness in my chest, the aching in my chest, while simultaneously, I know that she is thriving. She is living her best life. What I'm feeling right now is literally just a me thing. So when I say there's an overflow of emotions, it's like I'm really in, it's not even that heavy. I was going to say like the density codes. It's really not that dense. It's not that heavy. It's just, oh, there's something like painstakingly beautiful about this experience. I freaking love my kids and I love this life we've created and I'm obsessed with my business. And hubby and I will be celebrating 15 years of marriage in 1 week. Actually, at the time of when this episode drops, it'll literally be exactly a week because it's going to be next Wednesday. July 1st is 15 years and just things, I'm feeling it. And we're going to talk about the collective energy that I really feel like I'm tapped into. I'm curious if you are as well. And if you're not, I'm going to share that with you. If you are, then we're going to amplify it together. So wherever you are right now at this moment in time, energetically, mentally, emotionally, wherever you find yourself, whatever season of life or business you're in, I promise, my love, that there is so much goodness for you here today. The other reason why I feel like I'm in my feels is because there's so many. First of all, this is going to be episode 99, like 10 episodes away from 100 episodes. I feel like we need to have a virtual party. I just had that idea right now in real time. Hold me to it. When we launch 100 episodes, we're going to do something really fun with our Pod Squad community. I'm very excited about this. I have a little time to brainstorm this. Stay tuned. So it's episode 90, and it feels like a really big deal because I'm doing something that I haven't done before. The podcast is creeping up to the 2-year mark. Technically, we're right at 18 months since pressing publish on the very first episode. And since then, I have released an episode pretty much every single week. We have skipped, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And then we kind of sort of made up for it. I want to say at the end of last year because we did something really fun where for a small window of time, I released a daily audio program on the podcast called the Expansion Accelerator. If you don't remember that, if you're new around here, feel free to scroll down and check that out. It's so good. And when we did that, that actually had our average be more than one episode per week over the span of starting the podcast. And so where I'm going with all of this is we're going to be taking a little bit of a summer break. And I have a lot of feels. A part of me is like, I don't want to take a break. I don't want to not be here. And if I'm being completely honest with you, every year, July is so fun. Every year, summer is so fun. I really love the energy of summer. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And as a mom of 3, a lot of my time and my energy is, always dedicated to my kids, but it's just a different vibe when they're home from school versus during the school year. If you're a mom, if you're a human, because you were once a kid on summer break, right? And we do this thing where every year, every summer, we've been doing this for years. I don't feel like it is that different than previous years, but it feels like it is for various reasons. Basically, let me cut right to the chase. My kids and I are going to be traveling for 22 to the 31 days of the month of July. That's a lot of time on the go in different places and spaces and not being at home with our regular routines. And I will be still working. I'm using air quotations. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. I don't have all of my fancy tech things. And a part of me was like, let's just record our podcast episodes with our AirPods and our phone and then upload them to Descript. I could do all of these things, but if I'm being completely honest, I feel like I would be doing a disservice to me, to you, and to the family, my side of the family, my husband's side of the family, because I can be a little bit of a stress case and I can be a little cray cray about things being a certain way and getting things done in a very specific way and at certain times. And I don't want this podcast and what we do together here to ever be something that feels like an obligation or feels like stress. You, my love, are never an obligation, but I know you know what I'm talking about because you have your own version of those things where it's like you want to keep the thing a thing. And if it's fun and expansive and it's something that lights you up, you don't want to infuse energy of stress and pressure and unnecessary overwhelm. And so the more I sat with it, the more I realized that taking a summer break will end up being the very least would be 6 weeks. The very most would be 8 weeks. We'll be back together the first or second week of August. And that feels really good. And there's a lot of, 90 episodes. There's going to be an opportunity to binge. There's probably a lot of episodes you haven't heard yet. Maybe you want to take yourself through the Expansion Accelerator, which is, again, a paid coaching program that I shared for free on the podcast at the end of last year. I want to say it was in the 60s. So if this is episode 90, it was like somewhere in the 50th and 60th episodes where I dropped those 21 audios. The other thing that feels like the permission slip that I didn't even know I was needing is that we have a handful of you who listen every single week. There's like a specific day and time every week where I know you listen to the podcast. And I know because as you listen, sometimes in real time, you'll pause the podcast and then you'll message me about something that you just heard, or you'll give me a little debrief of what it stirred up for you and what questions you have and your aha moments. I love when you do that, by the way. And a few of you mentioned to me that, you know what, you should take a break, Dani. I feel so silly because I know that I don't need anyone's permission outside of me, but those of you who listen every single week, I'm like, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to leave them hanging. And to have a few of you, because I mentioned this, if you've been tuning in, if you've been paying attention, I mentioned this a few episodes ago around I've been going back and forth. I haven't decided what we're going to do for the month of July. And after you heard that episode, I received a couple of DMs. And so that was what I was needing. That honestly solidified my decision. And one of you even said, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to go back and re-listen to some of my favorite episodes because there are some that I like to listen on repeat. And this same individual said, you should tell everybody that if they haven't gone back, then this is a good opportunity for them to check that out. So, little piece of advice from one of our loyal Energy Expansion podcast listeners. And with all of that said, I really want to dive into the heart of the message that I have planned for you today, which has to do with the energy that we find ourselves in right now, the energy that we're in as a collective, the energy that we're in seasonally. And I'm not going to repeat everything that I said in the last podcast, but we did talk about how powerful the energy of last week was. We found ourselves coming off of a really potent Gemini new moon and approaching summer solstice. So as we find ourselves here today, we're officially on the other side of summer solstice. So at the end of last week's episode, we talked about some of the main energetic insights, like the important things you'd want to know about that. And we also talked about you honoring your own internal season. That feels really important. That felt, speaking just a few minutes ago, I was talking about a permission slip. That felt like a divine permission slip, an energetic permission slip many years ago when I was learning about the elements and how to weave in the seasons, both literally and energetically, into our lives, into our businesses. And so, just a little reminder here, summer solstice represents the peak of light, like actual daylight, actual sunlight. It represents the longest day of the year. And because it is so heavily focused on the potency of this light, of this solar power, literally and energetically, it represents a power and a light within us that we get to tap into, that we get to amplify, that we get to leverage for thousands of years across so many different cultures. The summer solstice has been considered one of the most potent times, days, seasons for spiritual growth, for healing, and for manifestation. So this is a really big deal and something that you want to keep in mind, especially if you want to be intentional about playing with this energy, is the solstice energy is what carries us all the way through until mid-September, which is when we have the fall equinox. And so you might want to, I highly recommend if you didn't already do this, set aside some time to think about what it is that you want. What are you calling in right now? What do you believe to be true? And more importantly, what do you want to believe to be true about you, your life, your business, your future, whatever it is that you're calling into your life? This is a really beautiful opportunity to sit down and get crystal clear on your desires, to journal about them, to dig into whatever fun, magical, mystical manifestation practices are your favorite. I'm smiling as I'm saying this out loud because you may or may not know this about me. I love being crafty. I love collage things. Not just because I'm a life coach, but I am a vision board junkie. Given a few hours of free time on a weekend, All right, love, real quick pause because I have to tell you about something that is truly life-changing. If you've been in my world for any amount of time, then there is a 99.9% chance that you have heard me talk about Energy Expansion Academy, which is my signature group coaching program where I teach the exact tools, rituals, mindset shifts that helped me create a life that goes beyond my wildest dreams and has transformed the lives of hundreds of women that I've had the honor of serving. And for the first time ever, it is now available as a self-paced experience. That means you get to move through this powerful transformation on your own terms, in your own timing, and in full alignment with your life. This is for the woman who's ready to shift her energy, elevate her mindset, and finally become the most confident, fulfilled, and successful version of herself. Without the hustle, without the overwhelm, and without the second guessing. If you've been feeling the nudge to join us inside of EEA, then this, my love, is your sign. You'll find the link in the show notes or just DM me EEA on Instagram and I'll personally send it your way. Now, let's get back to the episode that you came for. There's nothing else to do and you're like, Dani, if you could do anything, what would you do right now? I would come into my office and I'd get all my vision boarding supplies and oh my goodness, do I have so many? And I would just start flipping through vision board books and magazines, and I love the paper and I love the imagery and I love how vivid the colors are and I love the feel of the scissors in my hands and the glue and the tape. And again, I'm smiling because a few weeks ago, my daughter and I went into the Dollar Tree to just get random craft supplies, see what they had there. I was very impressed. They had a lot of different wooden shapes, like these big circles and these hearts and these stars, and they had these really cute little wooden boxes. And so I made a little manifestation box. I found beautiful things that represented what I wanted to manifest. When I say beautiful things, I mean images like a really beautiful sunset and a couple holding hands and a waterfall and some dollar signs. And I used I think it's called Mod Podge, and it's like that glossy glue situation. Anyways, I put together this beautiful box and it was amazing. And I love it. And I write down little prayers and little wishes and I hold them in this box. And so you could do your own project like that. That might be a little too time consuming and a little too advanced for some of you, but I really like to craft and that's how I like to spend the little bit of free time that I have on occasion. So that's something to consider. And as we talk about this fun solstice energy and manifestation and magic, I am beaming. And you might remember me saying at the beginning of the episode that I have been in my feels, in all of the feels. And part of my feels has looked like me having multiple moments over the last few days of literally just crying tears of joy and letting myself be in my tears and letting myself feel the overflow and be in that goodness. It was so funny. The other day I was having a conversation with my husband and I just had this moment of feeling so lucky and so unbelievably blessed that I started crying and my tears, bless my husband, kind of freak him out. And so I said, there's nothing wrong. This is not a bad thing. And he was like, do you need a minute? And I was like, yes, if you'd like to leave for just a second. I just need to be in my feels, and not because I'm embarrassed or shamed by them. I do know that my emotions, my big feels, my tears can make him feel a little uncomfortable from time to time. Let me know if you can relate. But I didn't want to have to feel like I needed to wipe away my tears. I didn't want to feel like I had to rush through it. I actually wanted to have time to be in it. And this was one example, like one conversation with my husband, but there were multiple examples of that this weekend. And it feels really fitting, again, with the energy of solstice and goodness and what do we want and what were the seeds we planted 3 months ago? What are the things, during the spring equinox and then winter solstice 6 months ago, all of these beautiful things, the way that they align together. And there were a couple of instances this weekend that I feel like I want to share with you. So at the time of this recording, it's a Monday. So when I say yesterday, literally on the summer solstice, which also in this case happened to align with Father's Day. That doesn't happen every year. But I have this dream of us as a family of 5 going to church together. I go to church almost every Sunday, as long as we're in town. If we're traveling, I typically don't go. If we are traveling, there have been instances where I'm able to find a local church and head to a Sunday service. But I love going to church, and I don't expect my people to go with me. I'm not going to try to convince or force anybody. It's not about my family of 5 needing to go to church with me to put on some sort of a show, or I don't know. I'm saying that out loud because I feel like there's like this picture perfect energy to it. It's more because how it feels, how I feel when I have my people with me. And simultaneously, I don't go to church for my people. I kind of do as a byproduct because I definitely feel like I'm a better mom and a better wife when I prioritize my relationship with God. But that's why I go to church. I go to church for myself. I go to church to prioritize my relationship with God. That is why I go. And I really believe that everyone and everything in my life gets to benefit from that. But I also really like when my people are standing next to me. I like getting to hold my husband's hand and put my arms around my kids 24/7. And if I get to do that at church, while I'm focused on the most important relationships in my life, my relationship with me and my relationship with God, that feels almost indescribable. It's hard to put words to it. And church, for the most part, for as long as me and my husband have been together, and as you know, because I said it earlier, we'll be celebrating 15 years of marriage on Wednesday. We have been together dating. Like we started dating over 16 years ago, and my husband has come to church with me a handful of times. He is not bashing anyone, but the term is a creaster, right? A creaster is someone who goes to church on Christmas and Easter, the main religious spiritual holidays. And again, not knocking that if you're a creaster. I love that for you. And I'm not. And so he's come to church a handful of times. I invite him and my kids almost every single Sunday. Almost every single Sunday, it's like hey, cool. Yeah, but no thanks. My son, I have to retract a little bit of that. My son, River, who's 4, he loves, loves, loves the kids program at our church. So he will attend with me every single Sunday. On the occasion that we're home and we opt not to go, which is very rare, he knows it's Sunday. He knows that Sunday is church, and he gets very upset if we don't go. And that makes me happy that he loves going that much. I digress. Going back to this dream of us going to church as a family and how much that would mean to me. It's something I've wanted for a really long time. And I don't want to say I didn't believe it would ever happen, but if I'm being completely honest with you, I think I got to the point where I didn't believe it would ever happen. And I was okay with that. I didn't make it mean anything about me or anyone else. I wasn't mad about it. I wasn't harboring any anger or sadness or resentment. I just got really crystal clear on what church does for me, and I'm going to keep going. And so the way that we do Mother's Day and Father's Day around here is, hi, on Mother's Day, I'm mom. I get to choose what I want to do. Like, everyone's like, okay, it's your day. We'll do whatever you want. And so kind of same thing with Father's Day. So Saturday night rolls around and I asked my husband, what do you want to do for Father's Day? And we did some fun things on Saturday. He's also going to go to the Padres game tonight with one of my kiddos. So there's a lot of fun things we're doing to celebrate this guy, and he deserves it. Don't get me wrong. And so Saturday night, he was like, I think I want to go to church. And I was like, I looked at him, was like, what? It's your day. Like, you don't have to make me happy. It's your day. I'm like, you really want to go to church? And he looked me dead in the eye and goes, do you know me as someone who would ever do something that he didn't want to do? And I laughed out loud and said, no, you don't do things that you don't want to do. And he was like, I'd like to go to church. So I am just, fam, I'm baffled. I don't have a whole lot more to say other than the fact that we actually did go to church. We went to the church that I've been attending for almost 2 years, and he's wanting to try out other churches in the area. So this upcoming Sunday, we're going to check out another local church, and my husband is leading the way with that. And again, I'm speechless. I am speechless. So this thing that I've wanted, that I've literally dreamed of for so long, that I honestly let go of. And that's part of the gist here, is the power of detachment when it comes to manifestation. And I really feel like this is the hardest part of manifestation, right? Because manifestation is step 1, get crystal clear on what you want. Step 2 is energize it, think about it, visualize it, feel it in your body, right? Step number 3 is act as if. Who is that version of you? What does she think? What does she believe? How does she feel? What actions does she take? And then the next step is to detach and let it go. And it's like, well, wait, hold on. It's really hard to detach and let go when you just had me get clear and you just had me feel it and you just had me energize it and get excited about it and act as if. And so this is actually the hardest part about manifestation. I wasn't actively manifesting this, although I was in the background. I really want this. This would mean a lot to me. And also, I'm going to go regardless. I'm going to do me regardless. I'm going to do what feels good and right and aligned. If people want to join me, they're welcome to. But if they don't want to join me, I'm not going to stop being me. I'm not going to stop doing the things that feel good. Right? And so that was one of these really beautiful manifestation moments from this weekend that I felt would be helpful to share with you. So, we were talking about using the powerful energy of the summer solstice, getting clear about what it is that you want, maybe even noticing. I don't think that I would have put 2 and 2 together, this really powerful, beautiful manifestation, if we hadn't been having this conversation. Admittedly, I was having this conversation earlier today with the women inside of Energy Expansion Academy, and I was having these breakthroughs in real time when we were together. Of like, oh my gosh, I forgot how bad I wanted this. And it happened so easily and so effortlessly. And there is something about manifestation. The moment you stop grasping and needing it, it can show up with so much ease. And that's really my wish for you. I'm kind of looking at the time and wanting to be mindful here as I go from this back into summer mom mode. So as we start to come to a close, not just for today's episode, but in preparation for our official Energy Expansion podcast summer break, I want to encourage you to really tap into the powerful solstice energy that is so alive right now, that is at our fingertips. As a reminder, this energy represents the power of our own inner light. It is an opportunity to amplify everything that we desire. The dreams, the little ones, the big ones, the manifestations. There might be some newer dreams and manifestations, or in this case, for me, the story I shared with you, it's something that I've dreamed about for over a decade, a really long time. And I'm so ridiculously grateful that it's come to fruition. It's not lost on me how big of a deal this is. And it's just one more of the millions of reminders day in and day out that literally anything is possible. So pick the thing. Maybe you know what it is right now. Maybe you get to grab your journal and flip through things you've written about before, or write a new journal entry, writing down all of the things that you wish, all of the things that you desire, noticing which of those things you've been trying to grip onto, literally, figuratively, or energetically. Maybe you're like me and you have started to wonder if these things that you desire are ever going to happen. And here's what I want you to do. If you haven't done so already, spend a little bit of time over the coming days and weeks getting really clear about what it is. Give yourself permission to feel the desire, and not just the aching of it or the longing and the fact that it's not here. It's not so much about the lack. It's not so much about what we don't have, but it's about what will it feel like when you have it. Remember how I shared that the reason I want my family to come to church with me is because of how it would feel in my body and how meaningful it would be. And also, regardless of if they join me or not, I'm still gonna do me. Let's see if you can weave in some of that energy. Here's the thing that I want, and I'm going to move forward regardless. And I'm going to eliminate any unnecessary stories or narratives or programming, anything that feels limiting and unsupportive. And I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep moving forward from a place that feels grounded and authentic and aligned. And know that that energy is magnetic, so magnetic. So let yourself play with that this week, over the coming weeks, until we find ourselves back here after summer break. I love you so much, Pod Squad. Thank you for being here. Cheers to 90 episodes. And just because we're on a little summer break from the podcast does not mean that I'm not going to be sharing all of the fun things on social media. And in so many ways, I'm going to be actively showing up and serving my people. And you're my people. So if there's anything that we spoke about today, if you go back and you binge some of our recent episodes and you hear me talk about momentum, good news, momentum is completely self-paced. So you can literally grab that today and get started today. And you don't really need anything from me in order to have that program completely transform your life and your business. Maybe you hear some of my episodes about the recent breakthrough days and breakthrough experiences that I've hosted over, just the last 30 days alone. I've been able to do 3 of them and they've been amazing. My calendar is wide open for those in August. And for anyone who purchases a breakthrough day before August is going to receive Energy Expansion Academy, the self-paced experience, so you can start diving into some of the most life-changing content right now. So feel free to reach out to me. Just because we're taking a summer break here doesn't mean that we can't stay connected in all of the places and spaces. And I am so excited to support you however I possibly can. See you again in a few weeks.